Sorry to make you wait. How many of you in a moment like that, which was about 20 seconds, just wanted to end? What's going on? And where is the guy that's supposed to speak? And you just maybe have this feeling or anxiousness of what's happening. And maybe you have a thought in an awkward moment or a waiting moment of, I just want to take control. As I was just sitting down there for just a few seconds, everything in me wanted to hurry up. It's time to preach. I gotta go. Because I have an issue with waiting. I have a patience issue. And today we're in week 4 of this series called Dress Code. And we're going to be talking as Christians that we need to clothe ourselves with patience. And maybe you need this reminder this morning of what patience even is or what it means. It means this: patience is the ability to accept or tolerate delays, problems, or suffering without becoming annoyed or anxious. So we're going to be talking about patience today. I know for me, I struggle with patience. We just got back from a week away or 2 weeks away, but we took, in the middle of those 2 weeks off, we took a 9-day vacation. And I'm more of a 3 to 5 day vacation kind of guy. At about 3 to 5 days, I start thinking about my bed. I start thinking about my couch. I start thinking about like comfort and security. Well, this time we took a 9-day trip. And on the 9th day, on the way home, we woke up. We had to wake up from Florida at 3 a.m. to get on a 5:15 flight to make it back to Indy. And I thought in my mind, hey, we're going to pick up an hour because we're moving from Eastern to Central Time. We're going to pick up an hour. There's an opportunity for me to be home by about 10 a.m. And I get anxious and I think, okay, I'm done. 9 days. We're going home. We're going to get back to some normalcy. And I can get really impatient. And last day, day number 9, everything went smooth. We got a ride, we got a plane, everything worked. We got home, we made it to Indy, we got in the little van, we got to the parking lot, we got to our car to find a flat tire. And in that moment, Andrew, can you put up the patience definition again? In that moment, I did not have the ability to accept or tolerate the delay. Zero tolerance for that. It was a problem. I had no patience for it. In the suffering, I became immediately annoyed and anxious. Amber said, okay, just settle down. And maybe it took 15 minutes longer to get to where we needed to get started. But maybe you're someone, I think all of us to some degree are people that we struggle with patience. Because I think this is it. I didn't do a deep dive on this, but just thinking from the surface level, I think we may struggle with patience on this with patience in life, because we live in a culture, for the most part, that we can get whatever we would like, whenever we would like. Like I can go to the World Wide Web. I can go to Google. I can find some answers quick. I can stream just about any movie I want to watch about any time in the culture we're living in. We bought a birthday gift this past week. We realized, hey, tomorrow we got to have that gift. Within 24 hours, we bought a book, and it was at our door, and we didn't even have to hardly wait. We got what we wanted. We saw it on a little television, or a little telephone screen, and the next day, it's at our front door. We had the book that we needed for somebody's birthday. We have Amazon Prime. Amber says amen every time she hears Amazon Prime. We love, oh, there it is. Let's get it. We recently went, we have lots of friends. You're going to think this is kind of funny, but I'm not sure if we had ever been to Texas Roadhouse. Maybe one time ever within the last decade. But we have a lot of friends. We have people in our small group, basically all of our small group likes Texas Roadhouse. What is up with Texas Roadhouse? Well, so recently we went to Texas Roadhouse, and I think this is why I like it now, is because the person that seated us, the host, she walked with us to our table with a basket of rolls. We didn't even have to wait to start eating. Here's your table and there's some food. Let's go. We didn't even have to wait. It was wonderful. But patience, in our culture, it's hard to become patient. And this is honestly what a lot of us do. I think younger people in particular can struggle with this. Is if we can't get results quick, we just want to quit. Because we're used to having things whenever and whatever we want, now. And as Christians, we want to clothe ourselves. We want to be people that are patient. So what we're going to look at is one little verse, Proverbs 14:29. I'm going to read this to you from the New International Version. This is Proverbs 14:29 in regard to patience. And this was written by a guy named Solomon, who was in the Old Testament, was known as being one of the smartest, wisest guys in the Old Testament before Jesus showed up. And he wrote his wisdom, his knowledge, his understanding down in this little book in the Old Testament called Proverbs. So Proverbs 14, verse 29, I'm going to read one verse to you, and then I'm going to give you a few ways that you can apply and put on patience in your life this week. Here it is. Proverbs 14:29, it says this: whoever is patient has great understanding. You could probably just put that on repeat this week. Whoever is patient has great understanding. When you're wanting to hurry up and make a decision, whoever's patient has great understanding. Whenever you're wanting to rush something, whoever's patient has great understanding. And maybe you've experienced this last part. But one who is quick-tempered displays folly. And that was Old Testament. That was Solomon talking about whoever displays patience has great understanding. If you're quick-tempered, you're going to display folly. That's Old Testament. And then I think about Jesus and how incredibly patient he was when he showed up. I think about Matthew. You ever hang out with somebody that's sick? And like it is, like you're constantly waiting on them, trying to help them get it, trying to help them get better, trying to help them understand. You're taking care of someone. Jesus said right in front of Matthew's face at one point, I've shown up for the sick. And he was able to wait and be patient with guys like Matthew. Peter, he said he was going to build the church. Peter was going to be the rock of the church. He was going to start the church with Peter. In the process, Peter denied Jesus. Whole time, Peter, through the ups and downs, the denials, through the maturity and immaturity, through Peter's shenanigans, Jesus knew, I'm still going to endure, and I'm going to wait, and I'm going to be patient with Peter through this, and I'm going to restore him at the end of this. Judas, a guy who was in a part of the 12 disciples, Jesus, being God, would have known Judas is going to betray me, yet he sat down and had a dinner with him. Think about how patient that would be and what kind of patience that would take to just sit down and have dinner with somebody that you know they're turning their back on you. I think about Jesus as Roman soldiers were crucifying him and Jesus saying, Father, forgive them, for they don't know what they're doing. I think about Jesus with the woman at the well and the patience that he displayed. And he demonstrated grace, and at the same time, he would educate people with truth. He was incredibly patient. The woman caught in adultery. People could have had her stoned, and Jesus could have said, let's go. And he waited in patience and demonstrated grace. I think for us that he would forgive us and be patient with us. I know that to be true. I think about what John Mark Comer says. He wrote this book called Ruthless Elimination of Hurry. And John Mark Comer, he writes in this book, he puts, it's impossible to love people and be impatient at the same time. And I think as a follower of Jesus, if you're following Jesus, I think we should be the most patient people on the planet. We are the people of the second chance. And we've received patience, we've received grace, and we should demonstrate it in return in our lives, that we should put on patience in our lives. So what I want to do is give you 5 I did this very intentional, is I want to give you 5 actions patient people take. And I say actions because I'm not giving you permission to be passive today. I'm not giving you permission to say, they said be patient, so I'm just going to relax and I'm going to just be passive with my life. No. 5 actions that patient people take on a regular basis. So if you're going to put patience on, you're going to clothe yourself with patience. If you're going to represent Jesus, here's your 5. Number 1, we'll start shallow. They make the most of the mundane. Patient people can make the most of mundane, unexciting times. This past week, I woke up, went out on this back patio of our house, and I started reading, and I look up, and I didn't even know it was there, but I look up, and about 4 feet off of our back patio is this baby deer, or a fawn, laying down in our yard. And it's 7 o'clock in the morning, and I'm thinking, that's not normal. What's going on? Like that deer, like where's the mom? So I am impatient. So I got on Google, and I said, what happens? What do you do with a baby deer when it's in your backyard? Trying to find out. And this animal website that I read said, if you care, leave them there. If you care, leave them there. And so, if you ever see a baby fawn in your backyard, and if you care, leave them there. And so I got excited, and I told the kids, you got to see this, but we can't do anything. And so we had to be patient. And this is what we witnessed from this baby fawn. Multiple days on end, 3 days in a row, we woke up, and this baby fawn was in our backyard. And we would look out in the backyard in the middle of the afternoon, And there's that baby deer still in the backyard. 90-degree days. I'm bored out of my mind for that baby deer. I think I would leave by now. I'd be really tired of waiting for my mom to get back. Google says its mom's coming back. I would be sick and tired of waiting if I were that baby deer. And I read on Google that in the middle of the night when no one's around, mom's coming back and that baby's going to be gone. Well, sure enough, in the middle of the night, according to our cameras, mom came back, baby gone. But this is where I'm impressed with the deer. It stayed and obeyed in the midst of the mundane. It stayed and obeyed in the midst of the mundane. I looked at that deer and thought, I would leave. She's not coming back. This is not exciting. This is boring. You have to start to wonder where your mom's at. You should just go without. And the fawn just stayed and obeyed. For you, you're in high school. And you're thinking, it doesn't really matter who I date. It's a mundane time. Or it doesn't really matter what I post or what I do or who my friends are. It's an unexciting time. My life doesn't matter yet. It's mundane. I live at home. Have you talked to my mom? Whatever it would be, you're in this mundane season. I would tell you what we've been telling our 12-year-old, our 9-year-old, and our 6-year-old is your habits determine who you become. So you should make the most of this mundane season that you're in. Just this past week, Mason, our oldest kid, turned 12. And something about, I'm a numbers guy, and so 12 is 2/3 of the way to 18. And so I'm thinking, we're on our last 1/3. We're on the sprint. We're on what most people say, or what I've heard and what I've seen from student ministry, is we're about to start the hard part. And I'm starting to feel the urgency of what does he not know, and what are his habits, and what does he need to know before he goes? What do we need to equip him with? And he's feeling like this is pretty mundane. And I've been reading Luke 2:52 to Mason, because this is what we know about Jesus from the age of 12 to 30. The Son of God showed up, and from the ages of 12 to 30, this is what we know about Jesus. 18 years of seemingly mundane. Luke 2:52 says this, Jesus grew from 12 years old to 30. Jesus grew in wisdom and in stature and in favor with God and all the people. He made the most of the mundane season. 18 years. He grew in wisdom and stature and in favor with God and all the people. And I think for you, you need to be, it's just embracing this attitude. Patient people embrace this attitude that I'm willing to grow slow. I'm willing to grow slow. I can't believe there was a time that I was in first grade and I was taught all the colors. I was taught the alphabet for one whole year. Second grade, one whole year of just learning letters and numbers and colors. Second grade, I learned how to spell cat. It's like that is such slow growth. It's mundane, but it's like, nope, we're just going to make the most of the mundane. It's maybe, you ever see the movie Billy Madison? The guy, maybe you haven't seen it. Amber told me about it. I'm kidding, I've watched it. Billy Madison wants his father's business, and he doesn't have a high school education, so as an adult, he has to go back to the first grade and go through school 2 weeks at a time, 1 to 12. He made the most of the mundane. Don't watch it, just take my word for it. He made the most of the mundane. One of my favorite leadership scriptures is Daniel 6:3. It's from the Old Testament. Daniel, it says this from the Christian Standard Bible. It says, Daniel distinguished himself. He wasn't naturally distinguished. He distinguished himself. He made the most of the mundane seasons of his life. Daniel distinguished himself above the administrators and satraps because he had an extraordinary spirit. So the king planned to set him over the whole realm. Patient people, here's an action you can take. You can make the most of the mundane season that you're in. So that works for anybody, but young adults, kids, make the most of the mundane. Your habits determine who you are. You need patient people recognize that, and they start applying the scripture. They get in, they're obedient in the dark. They obey day in, day out. Second thing would be this. Patient people do this. They accept correction and receive protection. I had a major moment as a father about 8, 9 years ago, 10 years ago, probably 10 years ago. We were potty training one of our kids. And I remember we walked into Freddy's over in Mattoon. Our kid said, I got to go to the bathroom. And it's like in the middle of potty training. You're trying to do this, you don't have a diaper on, no pull-up on. It's like, oh, he's got to go to the bathroom. We got to go now. Like, Amber, I'm heading to the bathroom. And so I go to the bathroom, and I take Mason to the bathroom, and I sit him down at Freddy's, and I get right in front of him, and like, we're potty training, and here we go. And I sit him down on the toilet, and I kneel down right in front of him, make sure he's on the toilet. And I'm like, yes, this is great. We went potty at Freddy's. We are winning. We are winning. And what I did not know is in that moment, I was actually getting peed on by my son. Right in the region that would make you believe that I peed my pants. And I came walking out of the bathroom at Freddy's like, Amber, we got to get out of here. And Amber, I'll never forget, why'd you squat right in front of him? And I'm thinking, you've got the audacity to ask me that question? Because I'm trying to keep him on the toilet. And here's the thing, is in that moment, it hurt my feelings. She made me mad. I was ready to brawl with Mason and her at Freddy's. I'm like, look at me. And it hurt, but her question was trying to help me. I was like, if you would accept correction, like we had talked about that before, like how this works, if you would accept correction, you could receive protection. So from that point on, that question triggered me. She's trying to help me. That question she asked it's trying to help me. I'm going to accept it, and I'm going to know that comes with some protection on the other side of it. For you, maybe someone's asked you, are you drinking? Or are you sure you want to do that? Or why? And I don't know if questions go over all people, but I think the people that love you the most, when they ask you questions, they're not trying to hold you back. They're not trying to hurt you. They want to help you. And I know this about me. I know this about Amber. Sometimes Amber would like to correct me with a question. And I think, oh, I got this. And I have to be reminded sometimes, her question, it's not meant to hurt me. It's meant to help me. It's meant to correct me. I can remember as a kid, my mom would ask me questions, and I would say, Mom. And sometimes the elders of home church ask me questions, and I think, oh, I got it, or you're trying to slow this down. No. They're trying to protect me. And maybe it's the same for you. Like patient people, you have to know this. Patient people accept correction. And then they receive protection on the other side of it. I'll never forget this. We were at a conference several years ago. This guy named John Acuff gets up on the stage and he says this, that leaders who can't be questioned often do questionable things. And I think patient people can receive questions. Solomon said it like this in Proverbs 19 and 20. He said this, take good counsel and accept correction. That's the way to live wisely and well. And moral to the story is if you can't be corrected, you can't be protected. And sometimes our pride gets in the way. Patient people, they can accept correction. They can receive protection by just answering questions and putting their pride aside. The third thing, patient people know this, is they know God's no is a chance to grow. That's maturity. Patient people know God's no is an opportunity for me to grow. A different way to think about it is God's no sometimes just simply means, I love you, I love you. When our kids ask us, can I watch more YouTube? Can I lay in bed and just let YouTube put me to sleep at night? The answer is no. And they don't receive it well very often, but it's ultimately at the bottom of it, the no is because I love you. A couple generations ago, the question was, can we play in the street? Now we're all like, oh no. But can you play in the street? No, because your parents love you. Can I touch the stove? No, because you're going to get burnt. We love you. Sometimes God, the answer is no, and it's because He loves you. It's because it's an opportunity to grow. The answer is no, because He wants what's best for you. And there have been times in my life, I had plans for this person, or I wanted a position, or I put in a request. There are so many times I'm learning. I think Garth Brooks sang a song about this one time. But I'm so thankful that God didn't answer some of my requests. I know this, when God doesn't answer right away, I lean in. Well, okay, God, what do you want from me? Do you want me to learn resilience in this season? Do you want me to just get closer to your word in this season? Do you want me to draw on the help from someone else in this season? Do you want me to expand my faith in this season? But patient people know that God's no is an opportunity to grow. And I love what Proverbs 16:9 says. It says, we can make our plans, but the Lord determines our steps. And if you're in a season of like, God, it feels like you're saying no, or God, where are you? Or God, if you don't show up by Tuesday at noon, I'm going on without you. Hold up. James 1:2-4 says this, consider it pure joy, my brothers and sisters, whenever you face trials of many kinds, because you know that the testing of your faith produces perseverance. Let perseverance finish its work so that you may be mature and complete, not lacking anything. That you need to know in this season, God's no or God's not yet would be an opportunity for you to grow if you come under His authority. As patient people, recognize that God's no is a chance to grow. Number 4 would be this, is they keep, they keep their mouth shut when they want to sound off. I think I know this, I don't think. I'm a little guy, and it seems like what little guys are blessed with being able to have a response at all times. Whether they're right or wrong, I always got a response for someone that's kind of sounding off or being smart toward me. I can remember about 15 years ago when Amber and I first got married. I was finishing up a master's program, and I had taken somebody went on maternity leave, and for the second semester, I was a PE teacher for an inner city school in Charlotte, North Carolina, for middle school kids. And I think it was a difficult stretch, and I can remember there was a middle school kid that just was really smart with me, kind of like the middle schoolers I know, like everywhere else as well. And I just had the perfect response for something he told me, and I just verbally, I thought I had put that kid in his place verbally. I just totally sounded off on him. And he went silent. And I remember in between periods, I went back to this teacher that I was subbing for. I went back to her desk, and I sat down, and right in front of her desk, I saw this huge poster on the wall. You've probably seen this quote before, but it said, "They may not remember what you said, but they'll always remember the way you made them feel." And I'm like, oh boy. And that quote, that just tattooed me of, there are so many times in my life and so many moments in my life where I think, oh, I just got to shut my mouth before I sound off. I ran into a guy at the grocery store just this past week, and he said a couple things to me. And I had like 4 lines of defense. My responses were so good. I had to go to the car and tell Amber about them. But I just knew in that moment, no. My feelings are up. Sound down. I got all kinds of things to tell you. I have a lot of responses. No, my feelings up. I am frustrated. I am mad. No, that's not the whole truth, or that's not right. And sometimes when someone's wrong, it doesn't always, not every time does it deserve a response from you. There's times you can choose, this isn't a battle I'm going to fight. I'm not going to sound off right here. I'm just going to shut it down. I may speak truth gently. I just know for me, in moments when my feelings, I can feel it, my heart rates start to go up when someone's wrong in my opinion. That I know, sound down. We walked out of the grocery store. I got in the car, and I told Amber this, between Amber and I and now you. I said, I don't think I get enough credit for the things I could have said but didn't. You ever feel like that? Where you're like, I told Amber, I could have said, do it. And then, fast forward 3 or 4 days later, I'm so glad I just paid attention to the Holy Spirit of just shut. Ephesians 4:29, it says this: "Do not let any unwholesome talk come out of your mouths, but only what is helpful for building others up according to their needs, that it may benefit those who listen." I've said some things to people before, and it didn't benefit the people that were listening around. I love what 1 Peter 4:8 says. It says, "Above all, love each other deeply, because love covers a multitude of sins." So when you're tempted to sound off, you gotta go silent. I'm going to keep my mouth shut when I'm tempted to sound off. Patient people are so good at doing this. Last one. They pause when there's no peace. They have the ability to pay attention to the tension. They have ability to hear from God. They have the ability to say, no, I don't feel peace right here. I'm pressing pause. We were so excited about the movie Air to come out. The show about Michael Jordan's shoe and how Nike went kaboom and how the shoe went kaboom. And we like Nike and we like Michael Jordan and we're into shoes. And so Amber and I went and watched Air. And I don't even know if I should have told you that because it's rated R and I'm not sure if you should watch it. And I'm not sure if we should have watched it. And in the moment that we're watching, I'm like, this is great. I like this show. And you know who would like this show? Mason would love this show. And so we get home, and about 3 or 4 weeks later, we find out, wow, Air, we could stream it right now. And Mason had been telling us, we got to watch that show about Jordan. I got to watch the Air show. I got to watch it. We weren't 2 minutes. I don't even know. This is why I have Amber to help me. We're 2 minutes into the movie Air, and it's like, he can't watch this show. There's all kinds of language. And it's just like, pause. Because there's 2 minutes in, I'm like, there is no peace about moving forward with this show. It's like, we got to press pause. Maybe you're in a place Like, you're about to say yes to a position. You're about to say yes to a date. You have no peace. You've said yes to a position, and you're like, I got 30 days. I got no peace. Patient people, they have the ability to say, no peace. I'm pressing pause. There have been multiple times in my life that it's like, okay, God, here's the timeline, and you haven't came through with an answer yet, or the answer that I wanted, so I'm going to go ahead and run past you here. I'm going to go on without you. And that, I can tell you multiple times in my life, the problems that I've created in my life is because, like, no, I'm going to go ahead and go on. I'm not pressing pause. Pause, waiting, patience, that's for people that are weak. That's for people, I can handle this. I'm not waiting any longer. Well, this has been on repeat over the last 4 or 5 years, and in my notes is Psalm 27:14. It says, wait patiently for the Lord, be brave and courageous. Yes, wait patiently for the Lord. Waiting's not weak. Pausing's not weak. It's actually brave and courageous. Of patient people, they can press pause when they're not at peace. And so maybe there's something in your life right now. You have a tension about the person you're dating, the place you're working, a relationship, a conversation that you need to have with someone. You're about to move forward on something and you don't have a peace. Just press pause. People that wait, people that can press pause, they're not so worried about what they will look like. This is for everybody. This is like bonus to close is patient people, they're never finished with forgiveness. Never. They can continue. It's grace upon grace. They give grace. They're never finished with forgiveness. I read this just this past week in a book in several years back in Spain. There was a father and a son. The son's name was Paco. Imagine that in Spain. The son's name is Paco. And there's Pacos is such a common name in Spain. And Paco's father and Paco, they got into an argument about family business. And Paco bailed on everything. Paco got to the point where he realized, I think I had messed up greatly. And Paco's father had no chance on the streets of Spain to get in touch with his son. He was rogue. He was gone. He'd found out he was going to become a bullfighter. And Paco's father knew that dude's going to die. That's like a suicide waiting to happen. And Paco's father knew, my son's got to know that I've forgiven him, that we're good, that he can come home. And there was no way that Paco's father could get a hold of him. And so finally, Paco purchased a little area in the newspaper. And he created this headline that said, Paco, all is forgiven. Love, Papa. And then in the space underneath the headline, he put, meet me at Hotel Montana on Wednesday morning at 9 a.m. We should reconcile. Just meet me at this time in this place. Here's the problem. Hundreds of Pacos showed up. Because there were everybody, all the Pacos seemed to need to be forgiven. And the people around you, everybody in the room this morning needs to be forgiven. And the people you're going to come across this afternoon need to be forgiven. Patient people, they're never finished with forgiveness. Jesus never finished with forgiveness. He paid it in full. You think, oh, I'm finished, I'm done. No, never. It's grace upon grace. Jesus wants to resurrect you. You think, oh, I'm done, I'm dead, I'm finished. Jesus, God must be done with me. Jesus extends and represents forgiveness. That we as followers of Jesus, we as patient people, we're never finished with forgiveness. So who is it that has wronged you? Who is it that you need to reconcile with? Who is it that you need to let something go? To close, Ephesians 4:32, it says, be kind and compassionate to one another, forgiving each other, just as in Christ God forgave you. So maybe you need to forgive someone, and maybe this morning you need to ask for forgiveness, and you need to be made right in a relationship with God. And if that's where you're at this morning, if you're in a place, if you're far from God, if you're in a place where you're at odds with God, if you're in a place where you feel like, oh, I'm finished, or God's finished with me, I would encourage you, I would love for you to pray this prayer with me as we close this morning. God, thank you so much for extending forgiveness to me, for sending your one and only Son for me. God, in this moment, I'm putting my hand out and I'm receiving your gift. I'm accepting the payment. I'm accepting what you've done on the cross for me. God, I'm asking that you would come into my heart. I'm asking that you would take over. I'm asking that you would renew me in this moment. God, allow me to walk out of here today as walking in forgiveness, walking as a representative, as an ambassador for you from this point forward. God, I ask this morning that every follower in the room, you give us the patience that we need, that we can demonstrate your love to people around us. God, thank you for modeling it so well. Thank you for the stories in your word that we have, that we know that you are a God of patience. And God, help us to represent that to the people we come in contact with this week. And God, as we put on our clothes tomorrow, would you remind us that we're putting on compassion, that we're putting on humility, that we're putting on forgiveness, that we're putting on patience. God, we're going to need your Holy Spirit to help us do that. So I'm asking that you would go before us this week. It's in Jesus' name I pray. Amen.